We're good.
All right, so in G major, let me boil this down as simple as I can. We'll make it a G major scale played chords. G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, then we have D slash F sharp, and then G. Those get harder to finger as you go up. The other way you can do is switch positions there to make your life a little more copacetic. You go G, A minor, B minor, C, D, then we'll go E minor. That's probably more copacetic. And then, well, this gets funny, but so that's your F sharp, your D slash F sharp, and then finally your G. And what you could do with this F sharp, the D slash F sharp, is eventually you could just go, and that's what we'll get into next. Now, if you wanted to make it...
Your mic's distorting a lot, just FYI. Sounds like it's overmodulated a little.
It's because I just switched from fucking Skype. That's why.
Yeah, I figured.
It redoes all my settings, and there's always something I forget to do. Okay, there we go. So now check this out.
Yep.
Same scale, okay? But now I'm going to do it as a major 7 scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include, instead of a straight G, I'm going to include an F sharp in there. I'm going to include the major 7th. Then I'm going to make all the other chords 7ths that are complementary. So G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, right? Then we got D major 7. Then we got F sharp minor, or E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, and then G major 7. Let me do that again. Actually, that one should probably still be a natural D. I'll explain why in a second. But so this is a natural D. And basically, that's kind of a scale, you know, where you've got the natural 7th instead of the dominant 7th. Now, if you wanted to alter the chords in the scale, one way would be to just, and this is just as something to practice, is do everything with a flat 5. So check this out. G major 7, flat 5, or sharp 11, depending on what key you're in. So that, A minor 7, flat 5, B minor 7, flat 5, C major 7, flat 5, and then we got the D major 7, flat 5. Then we got E minor 7, flat 5. Then we got F sharp minor 7, flat 5. And then we have again G major 7, flat 5. So what I did is in each of those spellings, I kept everything the same except for the 5th, and I flatted it by 1/2 step or 1 fret. And of course, that completely changes the fingerings and the tonality.
Yeah.
All right. We could do the same thing with a dominant chord. So dominance looks basically the same except for, you know, the root and a couple others, but G dominant 7, this is the same, A minor, B minor 7. This becomes dominant. This becomes dominant. This becomes dominant, and then this is dominant. We can do this. And then again, to alter those, we have to switch the fingerings. But again, if you wanted to do a flat 5 on those, different fingering but different tonality with a dominant. So that's your G7 flat 5. Instead of G major 7, this is a regular dominant 7. Then these are the same. Then this is dominant, this is dominant, and this is the same as before, and then this is dominant. So that's like that. What's a good way to do that one in this position? So that's what gets you the altered. Then we go through and try to play. You know, you could do a 9th, like a 9th chord like this. You know, and then 13. So, or let's think of all these as 9s. So you have G9, and I have to use my thumb to get these done properly.
Okay.
G9, A minor 9, and you can make that a dominant or a regular. That's a regular 9. That's a dominant 9. Regular 9. A minor 7 with a 9, or a regular minor 7 with a 9. Same thing, dominant, regular, C9 or dominant, D9 or dominant 9. Then we have E major, E minor 9, F sharp minor 9, and then finally we have either the dominant 9, or we can also do this one. That's the 9, regular major 9 like this, but spelled differently. So, basically you're just changing the spelling by one note, and that's what gives you the new fingering and the new tonality. Now, let's talk about how that would work in a meat and potatoes progression that's normal. Let's take a 1, 6, 2, 5. 1, 6, 2, 5 is the classic. There's a piece called Ice Cream in the Cornell Dupree book.
Oh, yeah.
Ice cream changes. Okay, so that's really something that you find in all the jazz standards that are in major keys, especially. So you have the 1, 6, 2, 5. Here's the typical spellings. Okay, typical is G major 7, E minor 7, A minor 7, and then D7. Now, you could alter those in a variety of different ways. I would keep the one chord the same, so the G major 7 will leave kosher, and the other ones I'm going to alter by different degrees. So the first time through, I'm going to do it with 2 flat 5s and a sharp 9. So that's a way to alter or extend the tonality of the chord where it's still the same progression, but we're imposing a different harmony to it. Okay?
A little bit more atonal.
No, it's not atonal. It's expansively. It expands the vocabulary.
Okay.
It alters the vocabulary. They're alterations. So it doesn't make it not kosher. It makes it different, if that makes any sense. There is a distinction, you know? So here's another way to do it. The other way I'm going to do it is I'm going to sharp, okay? I'm going to sharp some notes, and I'm going to alter all of them. Watch this. Oh, I think I have a slicker way to do that. Watch this. Keep this one the same. Actually, the more popular one with the minor is to flat it. You could go sharp 9, flat 9 at the end. So that's a popular way to manipulate that. Here's one way where you could really substitute it, and it gives a little bit of a prettier sound, is you can do all 9 or 11 chords. Watch this. So this is a 9, 9, minor 9, and then another 9. So major, E minor 9, A minor 9, D9. But that puts the G on the top. So it gives it almost like a sus2, like that kind of sound, right? It's really a D9 with a sus4 in it, rather. Not a sus2, a sus4. That's another way to play it, too. So that's like, the susses are actually a whole other ball of chickens right there. So that's another way to do it.
So just going back to the G major scale in chords.
Yep.
So is it D minor, or D?
It's D.
So, I mean, why is the A an A minor? Why is the 2 an A minor?
An A minor 7?
Just, if you're playing, like we were doing at the beginning, we're playing the G scale in chords.
Uh-huh.
So G and A minor. Why is it A minor, not A major?
It's A minor because of the spelling of the chord and how it relates to the major scale that it's a relative of. So if you spell out an A major chord, what are the notes in an A major chord?
A, let's see, A, E, that's A again, right?
Okay.
And then that's C.
That's a problem right there. That's not a regular C.
It's a sharp C?
It's a C sharp.
C sharp, yeah.
All right. C sharp is a problem in the key of G. That's a flat 5 in the key of G. In the key of G, the C is natural. The only incidental is an F sharp. So in other words, if you're going to play a pure G major scale without any alterations, every note has to be natural in every chord spelling except for the F sharp.
So I got it. So just in my own stupid way of thinking about it, it's an A minor because if you play the A major, you're not playing the tones in the major scale.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, just should have paid more attention.
Hey, look, man, this shit is the most maddening stuff to understand. I mean, really, you have to look at it as like a long haul project that the best way to learn it mentally, and I would argue also the best way to learn it just as a discipline, is song by song. And I mean, each song or arrangement of a song has a different way to manipulate the chord spellings.
Yeah.
Not everyone, but each one we could pick. If I was to hand pick, like you just learned this Cleary tune, which also is the same progression as If You Want Me to Stay, but in a different key. And out of that, you begin to define how making the 5 chord on a progression like that, you can use a sharp 9 to a flat 9, and then you're going to be able to hear this and identify it in a bunch of other songs.
Yeah, which is precisely the way we came into it. And I don't want to get too dry on it, but, just understanding some of these basics. Because, what I did was I went back and, took these songs and basically just tried to identify the progression, like Ooh Child's 1-5-6-2, right? So, that's almost an ice cream. It's 1-5-6-2 instead of 1-6-2-5. And then Lovely Day, I think, was 1-6-4 sharp 5, maybe?
That one I forgot. Doesn't it do one of them goes minor? There's some weird thing. So you got the 1. So you got the 1, 6, 4. Then I think it goes like C, D, E, something like that. Or maybe it's A minor. And then like, so it's like E, C sharp minor 7, then A major 7. That's what it is. That's a weird one. Yeah. So E major 7. Yep. C sharp minor 7, that's the 6. The 4, that's a major 7. Then it goes C major 7. It's like C major 7.
Yeah.
D, and I think it's like a straight D triad. It might even be a straight E triad in that song.
I think you had it at.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah. So,
right, C sharp minor. No, that should be a C major 7 right there.
yeah, where am I?
I think you got the wrong space.
Did I write it down wrong? I had it. Oh. Every fucking dial I have has been fucked with. Is that right? So how do you do that A major 7th? How do you finger that A major 7th?
So there's 2 or 3 different ways to do it for this song.
This is the way I have it written down.
That's one way to do it with your thumb. Another way to do it is if you don't need that note up in the top, you can put your first finger in the bass. But I think it's better to do it with your thumb. So and then I do this.
Oh, I got it now. Okay, now now I remember it was
something like that.
Is that right?
Still not getting to that C. There it is. There it is.
Anyway, yeah. That's that weird part. It's that C major to the D, the C major 7 to the D.
Yeah.
Do you finger the E major 7th like that? Or are you doing it somewhat differently?
Well, I mean, I think the E major in that song doesn't have to be a major 7th. To me, it sounds more like a...
Just an E?
Sounds like that to me. Then this sounds major to me. But I think it could kind of cut the mustard either way, depending.
Interesting. Because I don't even think the guitar's chugging along on that one. It's mostly doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it's... I think the piano or something is playing the chords.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
What else?
So, what was it gonna? So on the Wheel of Fifths, wonder if we should do scale progression. I mean, that is the scale. So a flatted fifth in a G scale would be a D flat.
Yep.
Which is also the 5th chord. All right, this is making a bit more sense now, believe it or not, as pedestrian as this is. So if you're playing it, this is going to be another dumb question, but an A chord, when you have an A7th, what's happening in the chord? So, this is A major. So does that mean I'm adding a 7th into the chord? Or I'm taking the 7th and I'm doing something with it?
No, you're putting the 7th in the chord. So it depends on the dominant or the major, right? So in the key of A, what is the dominant seventh and what is the major seventh? Let's start with the major seventh. So if you were to play an A major scale, the seventh note of the A major scale is what? And this all depends on, by the way, knowing the key signature. How many sharps are in the key signature?
Well, I'm going to cheat by looking. In an A, it's 3 sharps.
That's right. And what are they?
It's F sharp, a C sharp, and a G sharp.
That's correct. So now what are the notes in an A major scale?
All right, well, let's figure that out. So
start at A, right?
Yeah, A.
And spell it out.
B. So C sharp.
Correct.
C sharp. It's going to go E flat? No.
No E flats. E natural.
E, yeah.
Remember, the E is the 5, and that's the 5 chord in a A blues, right?
Right.
It wouldn't be an
right.
E flat. That's a flat 5.
Yeah. Okay. A, B, C, E. So F sharp. And then.
Yep, that's right. And now we're at the crucial. This is the 7th note coming up.
So that's it's an A, right?
No, we did an F sharp. You're skipping the 7. What's the 7?
Oh yeah, the 7th has got to be a flat.
A flat or G sharp, we would say, because there's 3 sharps.
Right.
In the key signature, that's usually how you define it, right?
Gotcha. And then back to A.
So the 7th note in an A major scale is
G sharp.
So G sharp is the major 7th. So if you want to play an A major chord and change it to an A major 7, what you need to do is find a way to finger it and make sure that you get that G sharp spelled in and nothing else.
What do you mean and nothing else?
Well, you don't want to put in an E flat. You don't want to put in an A flat. You want to, if you're going to spell, there's a lot of different ways to spell the chord, okay? You could spell it here. 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 You know, I could go all day. You know, you could do it here. But those are all A major 7, right? But they all have a combination of notes that are in a different order or a different number of notes. What they all have in common is that they have the root, the 3rd, the major 7, and the 5th.
Root, 3rd.
So there's 4 notes that are in all of them. The root, the 3rd, the major 7, and the 5th.
In all of what? Sorry?
In all of those voicings that I just played. Sometimes the 5th is doubled. Sometimes the root is doubled. Usually the 3rd and the major 7 are not doubled. Usually it's the root or the 5th are doubled in certain voicings. So that makes it a 5-note chord. But the thing is, it's only comprised of 4 actual spelling notes. You're just doubling one of them.
Right. Like in an E chord where
Right.
you've got the octave. Yeah.
Exactly. So whatever position you choose to play an A major 7 in, it's got to have the 1, the 3, the 5, and the major 7.
Did you get yourself to the point where the scales, you just memorized the tones and the scales? Is that where you ended up?
Well, no, I did this in a very formal way. It's just I did it by myself. So
no, you did it in the Berkeley book.
I did the William Levitt series, all 3 volumes, across the course of about 2 years. The first 2 years I lived in New York City, I made it my business to try to understand, to the best of my abilities, how all this music was built. That was my goal. My goal was to understand not only how people were phrasing and coming up with solos, but also how people were composing and writing melodies and stuff. So that's where you get into this understanding chord progressions. And I was also, I was on gigs and, someone would go to count off the song and I'd be like, oh, I don't know that one. And they go, oh yeah, well, it's just a 1, 6, 2, 5. I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, I gotta figure out what this means.
Right, yeah.
So I got a circle of 4ths and 5ths from a professor at NYU at New School Jazz. And he told me to get those William Levitt books. I had 2 or 3 lessons with him. That's all I had. And then he basically, once he got me the Levitt books and he got me that circle, he was like, good luck, go home, finish it.
That's funny.
Well, that's what happens when you study with someone who's a professor at a college with a salary.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck and
Um,
God bless.
yeah. So that was pretty big turning point for me. And I mean, that's honestly that's the right way to eat your vegetables. But I mean, it takes a lot of time to do
Yeah,
it that
I'm
way.
not. I'm not going to do that. I got to get the basics so that I can sort of, I'll go through another couple of songs and
That's your best. That's your best bet.
yeah, and
That's
just
how
kind of
I started. That I did it the same way, and I had a good enough knowledge to play whole gigs of cover songs. It's just I didn't know how to speak the language with my fellow musicians or write charts.
right.
And that's
Yeah.
why I really beat myself up to learn all this, was so I could communicate with band members in a more shorthand fashion instead of having to sit down and go, hey guys, it goes, G-E-A-D. And they go, well, are they dominant or minor or are they flat nines? Well, I don't
Well,
know. It's just this shape to this shape.
and that's where I'm at with Nick in particular because he's,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think he thinks I'm deficient somehow, like, and I am, but I'm also not fucking pro. So, you know,
Yeah, but you got to remember something. He's a keyboard player by training, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
So keyboard players, they hate us in particular because they are forced, because of the way the fingerings lay, to learn it correctly.
yeah,
I'd say most of them. Now, there's always outliers, but most of them, the vast majority of them, have a way, way bigger knowledge of chord progressions and scales than your average guitar player because they all have a mandatory formal training involved.
Well, it's also laid out in front of you, not like on a fretboard.
That's what I mean. And it's laid out in Western harmony.
Yeah,
Our guitars are not laid out in Western harmony. They're laid out in minor pentatonics and chromatics, which, by the way, is as fucking African as it gets.
mm.
There's no, better reason that we could explain the evolution of the blues being through the guitar than the fact that pentatonics and chromatics are the best way to explain the instrument.
Yeah.
That's every African instrument is, even the drums that have tonal sounds and the kalimbas, they're all minor pentatonic and chromatic scales.
Well, banjo's tuned like a fiddle, isn't it?
I think it is now, but that's not the original tuning. And don't forget, with guitar, the original tunings, they called open G Spanish, and then the guys in the Delta started calling all of them Spanish. It's like it all got fucked up. So it's pretty, especially when you get into American music history, it gets really turbulent because so much of it is oral tradition stuff. It's kind of shit that's passed down on the front porch.
Yeah.
Orally from one person to another. It's not, codified and written in a book and taught for hundreds of years as a discipline.
Like a symphony. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be, that's what's next. That's what I do 20 hours a week every week now. I'm basically I'm a teacher of American roots music. It's what I do.
Yeah.
I found ways to digest and explain things for people that are akin to the way I was taught the music as an oral tradition, but I'm turning it into a pedagogy. That's kind of the approach. But I mean, Wynton Marsalis has already done that for jazz. Jamie Ebersol did it for jazz at the same time.
Speaking of which, I saw Wynton play last week.
You go to the drive-in?
Yeah. Drive-in? Is he doing drive-in?
He's been doing a drive-in tour right now.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It was our local art center. They weren't able to have a gala, and one of their board members is on the board of Jazz at Lincoln Center.
Okay.
And so they contracted him to come up, and he was he had a full stage and line array sound system that he brought up as well.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah, they had to put a generator in there. The art center is in Martha Stewart's old television studios.
Wow.
Right here in Westport, and it was vacant for a long time, but they finally cut some kind of deal, so the art center's there now. So they did it out in the parking lot. And I volunteered with my wife to just kind of help them out and direct cars and shit like that. And then we got to just hang out and watch the show. And yeah, it was really cool because, got to see him warm up off mic, which was fun. I mean, it's just interesting to watch, how those guys work, especially somebody of that stature. And he did his democracy sort of, I guess it's called like a suite of music that he's written called Democracy, where there's a theme and then there's a bunch of improvisation. It comes back to the theme and then
There
he
was
moves
one
on to
that
the
he
next
did.
one.
He has a new record out, right?
I think this is where it's from. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that record is amazing. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Well, I tell you, the music was fantastic. He wrote it all during the lockdown.
Oh yeah,
It's just a fucking fantastic show. I mean, the guy's so fucking good.
he's brilliant. I mean, I'll never forget one night I was down in Smalls when I had just moved to New York. I was probably about 20, 21 years old. It's back when Smalls was a juice bar. And I was down there watching Myron Walden's show at 2 in the morning. And sometime between 2 and 4, I don't know when, because I was smoking a lot of weed back then. I was really fucked up. I was drinking the juice, but I was smoking tons of weed down there. And I swear to God, man, I couldn't believe it. This guy walks in a Brooks Brothers suit with a trumpet and starts setting it up on the bar. And I look, and it's fucking Winton. And he gets up there, and the band was in the middle of a song. And Myron or somebody finished the solo, and he just starts playing.
Wow.
And I swear to God, man, just walked in off the street, didn't warm up, nothing, just fucking pulled his horn out. I'm assuming he knew the song they were playing in standard. He might have only had to listen to him play through it one time. But he got up and just fucking nailed all the changes, and it was insane. Yeah. And then I was same year, I was at a Jimmy Heath show, Jimmy Heath Big Band at the Blue Note. And I sat at the bar because I was broke. I think it cost me $20 to stand at the bar.
Right.
And it was Jimmy Heath's birthday, and he had a ridiculous fucking band of all these old jazz dudes. Again, I look over my shoulder. There's Winton in the Brooks Brothers suit with a trench coat on and his trumpet. Walks up to the stage, does not even take his overcoat out. This was like in the winter. Pulls the trumpet out of the case, walks up they have a 20-piece band or something. He just grabs a chair, puts it on stage, waits, and then someone tells Jimmy he's there. In the middle of the song, they throw him a solo. And this motherfucker, it was like watching somebody improvise a fucking Shakespeare sonnet.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember what he played, but I remember standing there listening to it, and just like, it was just a fucking musical journey. As soon as he started playing, it blew everybody off the stage.
Yeah, he's just a monster talent.
Yeah, it's just, and the eloquence of this man's playing is like, that's the craziest part about him.
I don't know who his rhythm section was, but they were fantastic as well.
They tend to be younger guys. Did he have Nimmer on piano, the little weird-looking white guy?
Yeah.
Dan Nimmer.
Yeah, that was him.
The guy's a fucking genius.
Yeah, he was great. And then they brought up some of the kids, like the youth.
Yeah.
The two youths. There were like 4 of them, and they played outside. And like before he went on, they weren't on the stage or anything. They were playing the event. And I had dinner with them, and I was just ribbing the trumpet players in fucking high school. I'm like, picking up a trumpet within earshot of Winton takes some fucking brass balls. I mean, that's
of
just.
Course.
But apparently he'd been through the program. It's just, and they were so fucking good. These kids. It was just really heartening to hear.
He's been doing it, since I was in high school. He's been doing that. I mean, unfortunately for me, the problem with fucking Winton is that he was a dick in the 90s.
Yeah.
And his policy in the 90s that I got to know very well, because my arts high school our band was very competitive. I mean, we won every fucking competition we did as the best band when I was in high school. And it was like an 8-piece jazz ensemble. It wasn't a big band, but we won everything we did. And they Jazz at Lincoln Center wanted to bring our band to New York City to compete with all the other high school jazz bands.
But this wasn't at Chesterfield. This was the.
Oh no! This is my high school jazz band.
You went to the one in
Milwaukee
right?
High School of the Arts, West Division. So our band was invited to New York City to compete, and I was not allowed to go because I was a electric guitarist.
Oh, really?
Having an electric instrument disqualified you to compete at that time. He's changed it.
That's
okay.
bizarre.
And basically my band went and competed without me. And they came in second place. And
Wow.
I couldn't go because I played electric guitar.
Yeah, you would have busted Charlie Kristen out of the fucking competition. That's ridiculous.
So check this out. This is great. This is a great part of the story. So about 2 years ago, Mark Quinones is in New York City. Okay. This is my one Wynton Marsalis story. I have two, but this one involves me actually talking to him. So Mark Quinones calls me and he's like, Sherrod, man, I want to take you out for sushi, man. We got to hang out. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you up to? He's like, well, shit, man, I'm rehearsing with Wynton Marsalis at Lincoln Center. So why don't you come meet me across the street, the sushi place? Sends me info. I'm like, great. So I go there. I meet up with him. Bobby Allende's there. You know, the three of us end up having lunch. We're having a lot of laughs. Mark's like, Sherrod, man, come over. You gotta hear this Latin jazz ensemble I'm doing with Wynton Marsalis. I'm like, all right, that sounds fun. So I go in the rehearsal room with him at Lincoln Center, and there's Wynton, you know, sitting in a chair because he's got vertigo, so he can barely stand up.
I was he was sitting a lot. I wasn't.
He can barely stand up half the time.
Oh, that's too bad.
So he's sitting there in the corner, you know, directing the band with a mic and da-da-da, and I'm watching. I watched like half the rehearsal. It's fucking amazing. There's like these salsa singers and shit, and Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra, and all these like New Rican badass motherfuckers.
Right.
So I'm just soaking it all in, you know, and it's very intimidating for me because I'm like, these are like musicians everywhere.
Right. So
Mark finally comes up to me. He's like, Sherrod, come here. And he brings me over to Wynton, and he goes, hey, Wynton, this is my buddy Scott. You know, he played guitar with me with Greg Alm, and he's like, so listen, man, I just got one question for you. And Wynton's like, what's up, man? What's up? Good to meet you. What's up, Mark? What's your question, man? What's your question, man? And Mark goes, why you have to fuck up this boy's childhood, man?
Oh, it's great.
That's my first meeting of Wynton Marsalis. And Wynton is just like, oh, what'd I do, man? What'd I do? He just starts going, oh my God, what did I do, Mark? What did I do? And I go, Mark, first of all, how did you remember that story? And Wynton's like, no, man, tell me what happened. And I go, I was in the high school of the arts band, and I was the electric guitar player, and they came and competed, and they got to come to New York, and I didn't get to go because I play electric guitar. And he goes, and Wynton Marsalis, he grabs my hand, and he goes, Scott, I'm so sorry. He goes, listen, man, I don't know if you know, but I made an album with Eric Clapton, and I made an album with John Scofield, and he's like, I've worked with Willie Nelson. He's like, I love Greg Allman, man. He's like, I'm so sorry we did that to you.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah, why'd you ruin this guy's childhood?
Fucking Quinones. That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
You gotta love it, man.
Yeah, that's balls.
He doesn't give a fuck about who anybody is.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, that was fun.
Dude, so, what's going on in the city now? Like
it's awesome here.
Yeah, your neighborhood's the same?
I mean, we're starting to lose some businesses now because our mayor is a complete fucking disaster.
Yeah.
You know, he's the Antifa version of Trump. You know, the whole problem with America right now is that the loudest voices on social media are the fucking germaphobes and the non-believers. And unfortunately for us as a society, the answer is in the middle. You know, it's about responsibly opening businesses with PPE and testing and rules. And then it's also about opening businesses. So, I mean, the biggest problem we have here is we have a mayor and a governor and a president who are all fighting, and the governor hates everybody.
Yeah.
And the mayor hates the president, and the president hates everybody. It's a complete disaster.
But you're not noticing a big change in your neighborhood?
I got to tell you something about Manhattan. It may be because all the posers have left.
Yeah.
In Manhattan, everything is great. I mean, the crime is down here. The COVID rates are insanely low in Manhattan.
Yeah.
We're 0.54% today.
Yeah.
It's lower here than Ulster County. Upstate right now, I saw today it's 1.6.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've been low here for 4 months in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So and I think part of it is weeding out the posers, but I've been very impressed, to be honest with you, at how people are handling the ridiculous hardship of all the miscommunication in government.
Yeah.
I think if we can get functional government back, let's hope, Biden, Harris, and then a clear path to getting rid of de Blasio, which is opening up right now. I think the city in a year or two, providing that the country doesn't end up in a major nuclear war or Donald Trump doesn't figure out how to steal the election,
right.
I think the city is going to come back bigger than ever.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I think the upstate exodus is not real. I think it's Airbnb and rental driven. There's no question about that. That has exploded.
Yeah.
But the buying market had a moment where it was insane over the summer. That has gone way back down. Now you're seeing 3-bedroom houses come on for $300,000 again. It's starting to settle. And I think this whole situation is going to settle. And now it's all about the presidential election. So
yeah.
I got my absentee ballot yesterday, and I'm mailing it today. So, I mean, we're all doing our part with that, and we just go from there.
Got mine today.
It's not going anywhere, man. We're coming back.
That's good. So one more question: is there on the wheel of fifths, the
circle of fourths and fifths?
Yeah, circle of fourths.
The wheel of life.
Is there any significance to the sequence around the circle? C, G, D, A, E, B. Are those the notes in the C major scale? Like, does it?
Yes. All the notes in the C major scale are natural.
Yeah.
There's no sharps or flats.
Okay.
So the whole idea is when you add a sharp or a flat, otherwise known as an incidental, that's going to change the key.
Got it.
It's very existential the way it's all laid out, right?
Yeah.
So, the existentialists like Sartre, the whole idea of that theory of philosophy is that every day that passes in the life of a human being, you get one step farther from your true nature.
Mm. Yeah. The existentialists are full of shit, but
I mean, they also had socialized medicine. So.
All right, brother.
I always say the French have always had the luxury of being able to have ideas. I don't really have time as an American.
Well, you know what Sartre said about existentialism, right? And I mean, he said it was a ruse to woo women.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. I'm in.
I know. It worked too.
No problem.
And he ended up with Simone de Beauvoir, of all people.
My grandfather-in-law studied with Sartre at the Sorbonne Institute.
Oh wow, that's
in the
crazy.
40s or 50s or whatever. It was when he was getting up there. It was when Sartre was pretty old, but he was a professor there. And my grandfather had a class with him, and he fucking hated him. Said he was a total fucking bastard.
I'm sure he was.
I mean, he had to be the most miserable person in history, right?
Yeah. To write Huis Clos and all that other stuff.
It's great shit, though. I mean, it's the danger with all that stuff, of course, is, and I've been a victim of being a fan of like literature that's in that vein my whole life, is it definitely doesn't help you to walk on the sunny side of the street.
No, it doesn't.
But I mean, what am I going to do? Sit around and read, Oprah Winfrey book club shit? I mean, it's, the truth
you read
hurts.
Vonnegut. Vonnegut's dark, but at least it's funny.
I don't know. Vonnegut's too close to reality for me now. That's basically documentary footage now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Ice 9 is a little bit too close to home.
Are you kidding me? I mean, this guy.
Yeah, crazy. I ever tell you my Vonnegut story?
You meet him?
I didn't meet him, but when I was in grad school in Nebraska, oddly enough, in philosophy grad school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I got a master's in philosophy.
Holy shit.
So, that was the error of my ways. So, misspent youth. But a friend of mine, a guy I knew in town, he was in his early 20s, as was I at the time. And, he had opened up a couple of stores in town, was, doing okay for a guy in his 20s. And
sure.
he was a major Hunter Thompson fan, like a literature fan, and he kind of fell into the same Vonnegut sort of cycle as well. So he had somehow started a newspaper called the Great Red Shark and ended up meeting Hunter, and that was cool. And then he had some money, and he was like, you know what, I am going to hire Vonnegut to come speak, because then I get to meet him and hang out with him, and I'll sell tickets to the local, English departments of the local private schools, and we'll just rent out the theater. So he rents out the theater, he contracts Vonnegut, he puts out almost all of his savings, tens of thousands of dollars. And he told me later, he knew that he was going to lose his shirt when he picked up the phone and called the most prestigious private school in Omaha and talked to the head of the English department. The head of the English department said, "Kurt who?"
Oh my God.
So he's like, "Fuck it. This is going to cost me a load of money, but let's just, we're not canceling," because the cancellation fees were huge too. So he's like, "We're just buy the ticket, take the ride." So he comes. I went to the lecture. It was a great lecture. A typical one. You can find it online. And so, but afterwards, he told me, I met him about 2 weeks after this thing happened, and we became friendly. He told me that so afterwards, Vonnegut's like, okay, well, the talk's done. According to the contract, there's usually a reception or something, a faculty reception. So I'm yours for the next couple of hours. Just let me know where we're going. I'd love to have a drink. And he goes, I had something else in mind. So he goes, well, I'm kind of hungry. He's like, what do you want? He's like, I'd just love like a sweet or a cookie or something. He's like, so he sends out a friend of his to get a box of like oatmeal cookies, and he loads Vonnegut into his car, and he takes him to a place called The Night Before, which is a strip club in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Vonnegut's like, what's this place? He's like, you're going to have some fun. So he was a regular at this place, and so he knew all the strippers, and it was like 7:00 on a Tuesday, and so he's calling them all over and introducing, this is Kurt, America's greatest living writer. Kurt, this is Candy. He just was having a couple of drinks, and he said incredible. He was sitting there. He had a sweater vest on because he always wore a sweater vest, and he was eating cookies. There was a little pile of crumbs on his little pot belly, and he just was giggling the whole night. And afterwards, he told him, this is like the most fun I have ever had at a speaking engagement.
That is
anytime
insane.
You want me to come back, I'm yours. This was a blast. He was there for like 6 hours.
Amazing. I mean, that's probably no one had ever done that with him.
Of course not. It's always like he's like, I'm always at some faculty reception. If somebody wants to argue about like, some shit that I wrote.
Or take him to a bookstore or something.
Yeah. It's always like sycophantic crap. He's supposed to be witty, and he just gets to go see some tits and ass.
Incredible.
It's great.
That's very Hunter S. Thompson of him.
Oh my God. It was perfect. Just perfect. He loved it. Anyway.
So what's next week like for you? You want me to follow up with you
I can't do
later?
next week. The week after I can do.
All right. I'll make a reminder for myself to hit you up.
Okay. It'll probably be
Think
around
about
Friday
some bring a few songs into the mix next time.
Yeah, I will. I'll find some other ones that I just get, confused by, and we can work through those. So, and I'm going to restring this thing in the meantime, because it is just fucking dead. I can't remember the last time I changed these strings. How often do you change strings?
Well, it depends on which guitar it is. For my main 336, back when I used to have a job, let me think. If I was on the road, the main 336 would be once a week. So that's 4 or 5 shows a week. Probably once every 2 weeks when I'm not on the road. And then for the other guitars, I just change them when they run out of tone or they don't stay in tune.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's the best way. But mine tend to run out. I mean, I don't want to say they run out of tone fast, but they run out of tone. Those little Bellas, they sound fucking amazing, but they don't last half as long as DRs.
I'm still playing the nickel wounds that you gave me.
Are those DRs or?
They're Diodarias.
Oh, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're great. It's just, the nickel, I think the nickel doesn't last as long as some of
That's what it is. When you get those vintage style strings, that's the advantage and the deficit of them, is that they sound better because they're a little bit more dull, but because they're dull, they wear out faster.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. It was great to see you.
All right, dude.
Have a good couple weeks.
I will do.
Stay safe out there. Later.
Bye.
Bye.